Hello and welcome everyone to tonight's live event from Women Driving Innovation. We're so glad that you could join us. Tonight, our panel will discuss how today's current events have accelerated development and opened new opportunities in the 5G arena. Next slide. Great, thank you. We have a great panel ahead, and we'll introduce that panel and get started in just one moment. But first, I'd like to talk about a few housekeeping rules. I want to let you know to send all thought-provoking questions via the questions and chat tab, and to follow us at Women Driving Innovation on all your social media. Also, it is our mission of WDI that distinguishes us. So I'd like to review that with you. It is our mission to connect, inspire, and showcase women thought leaders focused on technology, innovation, and diversity. And a big shout out to our association sponsors, Stable Kernel, Stone Resource, Right Point, and Carabiner. Also our premier sponsor, Cox Communications, and our partners, Atlanta Tech Park, GSMA, and Curiosity Lab. Welcome, and thank you all for supporting us. At this time, I'd like to call up our top innovator of the month. Her name is Bronwyn Morgan, and she's the founder and CEO of Zeo Air. Welcome, Bronwyn.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be a part of this team and be here tonight, and so excited to be the top innovator. Let me tell you a little bit about Zeo Air, but first of all, I am an FAA certified drone pilot, and I have a love for aviation, aerospace, and innovation, and that prompted me to do research on this industry. And I recognized that there was a need for simplified drone mission planning and management, and the acquisition of geospatial data. And so as I did that research, I recognized that companies didn't have solid access to it. Most of the options of fixed wing aircraft or helicopters were very expensive. They had to actually spend thousands of dollars to get very basic video and imagery. Also, the need for a touchless environment, which is what we're in right now, and also access to remote locations on a continuous basis for inspection and mapping. And we do this for industries such as civil infrastructure, telecom, utilities, catastrophe and disaster, oil and gas as well. And so I came up with the idea of Zeo. And so we're an outsourced AI-based drones on-demand company focused on data collection, data analytics, also soon autonomy, in a very simple mission management platform for enterprise and other smaller organizations for inspection and mapping. We acquire data for them in data collection, such as geospatial data, photogrammetry, which includes stills, 4K high definition video, thermal, LiDAR, and we're AI driven both in data and soon our equipment. Right now, we're looking for two things. It's very simple: money and customers. From a customer perspective, we're trying to gain at least 250 new customers or missions by the end of this year. And that would be in any of those categories or sectors that I mentioned. And then also from an investment perspective, $1.3 million will go a long way between now and probably second quarter of 2021 as we start to reach profitability. And helping us grow everything from marketing to autonomous platforms and other capabilities to support these industries, especially now in an environment where touchless makes all the difference. Let me tell you how you can reach me. You can do that at bmm@zeoair.com, and that's XEOAIR at zeoair.com. Also, you can find me on Twitter at AirZeo. Also, for me personally, I'm BMM at Bronze World. So thank you so much. Looking forward to tonight.
Thank you, Brahman. That's amazing. I've always been interested in drones, and I would be looking you up, how I can take lessons. Such an exciting field. Thank you. Brahman will be joining our panel discussion in a moment. Right now, I'd like to bring up the star of the show tonight, the moderator, and also a former Innovation of the Month winner, Sabina. And she is on the board with Women Driving Innovation, and she will lead the program.
Great, thank you, Liz. And Bronwyn, congratulations again, and thank you for being on the panel. So let me start with first thanking all the audience and all the people who've taken the time this precious hour in the evening to join us. Obviously, this topic is of interest to you. Either you're building something in this area or you're already in this area or expanding it. So thank you for being here. Just a quick introduction on myself. I'm Sabina Saxena, and I am the founder and CEO of City Life, which is a smart campus company. We've emulated the smart cities concept, both in philosophy, technology, and the goals of it, but apply it to contain geographies and communities like college campuses and corporate campuses, soon in senior living. So that's what I do. The bigger part that drives me in life is women driving innovation and technology, and that's why I'm on the board, a co-founder of this organization, and I would welcome my very charged, accomplished panelist panel here of women leaders who are in 5G in various shapes and forms. And they will introduce themselves, but before I ask them to introduce themselves, a little bit about the topic. Our lives have changed in the last 4 months. For all of us, things have happened, whether we were working in large corporations, or we were entrepreneurs, or we had kids in school or college, or we had healthcare issues, right? So everything around us has changed. But what COVID did recently for us really shone a light, a bright light, on the gaps that we already knew existed, but have really taken a magnitude of their own. Especially, for example, I work with college campuses. Every campus is empty. Campuses are sitting on the fence right now. And one of the biggest things campuses were fighting was giving access to connectivity to their students, both rural and urban, to be able to join education, rejoin their classes online, right? Similarly, healthcare got accelerated into a wholly different orbit. Till last year, telemedicine was a good to have. Telemedicine is the call of the day today. For all of us who are working out of home, connectivity, bandwidth, the speed of that connectivity is hugely important for us to be productive and keep, at our business in whatever business we are. So the topic for today, therefore, is, has COVID really accelerated and made the business case for 5G? And that's what our distinguished panel is going to talk about in today's conversation. So with that, I'd love to have our panel introduce themselves. I will start with Kim. Anna, you next, and then Laura. Bronwyn, you already are known to the group, so we'll skip that. So Kim, over to you.
Hi, Sabina, and everyone. Thank you so much for having me here this evening. My name is Kim Keever, and I'm the Chief Information Security Officer for Cox Communications. I also am fortunate enough to have a team that is responsible for driving innovation and change, business process transformation through analytics and analytics COE. So very happy to be here.
Thank you, Kim. Anna?
Share insights today.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Anna Tavadjla Boudier. I'm currently a strategic advisor to the CEO of Tenti Tech, which is a company that provides eSIM as a service. Before that, I've been in telecoms for 20 years. I had about 15 in GSMA where I led IoT, and the last 5 years I was heading up North America, supporting carriers launch 5G, many other services.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Laura?
Yes, hi, Laura
Yes, hi,
Poffenberger.
Laura Poffenberger.
I think we'll get an echo, so I want to make sure. You guys hear an echo on your side?
On your side.
Yes, we are hearing an echo. Laura.
Let me check.
Kim, would you like to mute yourself and see? Okay, Brahma.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to try that again. This is Laura Poffenberger, head of digital for Cricket Wireless. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I've got a 20 some odd year career, don't do the math, in wireless product development and product strategy. Been with Cricket Wireless running digital and digital strategy for them for the last 4 years, 4.5 now, I suppose. And before that, I've been in Atlanta for a long time. Before that, I was with Turner Sports and CNN, as well as a startup, and Cox Communications. I'm an alumni of that group as well. So glad to be here and good to meet you, Kim.
Excellent. Thank you all. So let's just jump right into it then. So my first question is really, I thought a good starting point to re-establish what is 5G, and what is the power of 5G. And Anna and Brandon, I'd like you take that question.
So Sabina, if I can start, if we had 5G here, we wouldn't be having any of the communication problems that we're having. So we would hear everyone clearly with no issue, because 5G, unlike, when we went from 2G to 3G and 4G, we had, more speed, but 5G will be 100 times faster than what we have today. So speed is fundamental, but there's 3 other things that 5G will bring. It will bring lower latency. So we'll go from 200 milliseconds to 1 millisecond. So it's a huge difference there. It will use less energy. So you'll have energy savings, and it will allow massive IoT. So you'll be able to connect billions of devices to the network and still provide quality of service. So all of those things together, with network slicing as well, for example, and all the other technologies that are coming to fruition, like cloud and edge computing, eSIM, all of those things together will totally disrupt what we used to every day. So new use cases, new services, we've been talking about V2X. I know Bronwyn has just presented something amazing in terms of drones. And there's so much more that will be possible, and 5G with all of these capabilities will allow that.
Well, Anna really hit it on the head. I mean, this whole idea of virtual reality, artificial intelligence.
Excuse me, Brahma.
Yes.
We seem to have an echo every time we change speakers. And Anna, can you mute yourself? Okay, try again.
Okay. To Anna's point, she's spot on. And as we look at artificial intelligence and all the sophisticated robotics, Internet of Things, sensors, very sophisticated virtual reality like the holodeck from Star Trek, those things start to become more of a reality with 5G. And again, based on the fact that this is going to be using a higher bandwidth, this is going to actually mean, shorter waves, and this is going to require smaller antennas. So they'll be more clustered in spaces, in a very, small distances. So we should be able to get very solid and strong connectivity everywhere we go, unlike, as she just said, some of the latency issues that we're having right now. And as we look at expanding that from an urban area out to rural areas, we really do start to live in a very connected environment.
And just a quick answer from both of you. How far are we from this really being a part of our lives to really alleviate the situation that I talked about earlier and the topic of today's panel discussion? How far are we, realistically speaking?
Well, I'll say we're a little ways away. You know, this is going to require a great deal of investment, partnerships, collaboration between the public sector, the private sector, to make this a reality, because this is very expensive, and you've got to lay wire to create more. I was just in a conversation about this earlier, you know, to create more wireless environments. So cities in certain pockets around the country are already 5G enabled. Places like Curiosity Lab in Atlanta and many other pockets. But this is going to take several years before this becomes a reality, and Anna may have an even more specific idea.
Yeah, so we're lucky enough to live in the US where deployment has started. There are many countries in the world that haven't even started deploying 5G. So as Bronwyn said, we do have pockets in the US where 5G is live. Mostly they're cities, you know, big cities. But when we look at the past of how long it took to get nationwide coverage, we're looking at 3, 4, 5 years. I mean, 5G has been faster than any other technology in terms of deployment and getting there. I think, you know, our carriers have really stepped up, and they've really started investment much sooner and going much faster than normal.
There's clearly a case for prioritization, both in terms of regions and sectors that might need this. Great, so before we jump into our next question, we have a quick audience poll. And the poll question is, should the rollout of 5G be accelerated to close the digital equity and accessibility gap post-COVID? And you have a few seconds to answer this question, audience, so let's do it. Well, so we have an overwhelming yes. I knew it. Thank you for endorsing our sentiment here and the panelist sentiment here. Thank you so much. So obviously, building off of the poll question as well as what we just heard Anna and Brahman say, my next question is for Kim and Laura. So my first question for both of you is, and Kim, you can go first, is what is the play that your company has in 5G?
So when we think about 5G, the reality of it is that Cox is just getting into the wireless arena. So we've started a plan to roll out the service, just like all of our other partners in the industry have similar types of services, partnering with other organizations to help enable the capability for wireless. So we've just started that now. We expect to have a rollout in over the next couple of years, starting in limited areas and then offering the service as a partner to all of our other services that we currently offer our customers.
So you'll partner with companies who have the 5G infrastructure.
We'll be partnering with other companies to provide the wireless service.
Okay, excellent. Laura?
For us, what I love about Cricket is it's always been a value brand. It's always been there to serve customers who wanted or needed a more economical wireless service. And I always loved that. When I was joining the company, something I was always very proud of was the way they took the prepaid experience, which I have to say, before Cricket was very much like a used car title pond kind of experience for customers. You know, they just weren't treated the same as people who had the credit to go with the premier carriers. And what I loved about Cricket is they presented this clean store and value offering to anyone who wanted it or needed it. And I feel like we're going to continue to do that. As 5G rolls out, we're going to offer it, but we're going to offer it in the value space for folks that are value seekers. And most of our customer base knows we are on the AT&T network, so they understand they're getting the quality, and they like to think it's their little secret that they're able to get it for less money. So it's kind of fun being part of a brand that's always been part of value. So I'm really excited to see 5G be able to provide home broadband service for people who don't have it today. And many Cricket customers actually use their cell phone today as their primary source of internet. So this is not something that's new to us. I think this is something that is just going to grow the capabilities and the abilities of our customers just a lot faster speeds and a lot higher performance when we go to 5G. So that's why I really do believe it's going to help a lot of people as we look at the digital gap.
Laura, quick follow-up on that. Where is AT&T, for people in the audience who do not know where AT&T is rollout, if at all? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Sure. So, on the AT&T rollout, there's an amazing, great use cases on att.com/5G. And there's the beautiful examples about when it's available in the 37 cities that's available now and the plans going forward. So you'll start to see maps roll out throughout the coming months. So lots more to expand that map in the marketplace where we're offering 5G. So that's all on tap. Planned for later this year. And we've got a lot of really amazing partnerships where we're leveraging our relationships with brands, our venues that we sponsor, and they're looking at when we can all get back together, which we're all looking forward to, getting to be able to bring together fan experiences, things that were never possible in concerts and other venues. So there's a lot of really great. I encourage you to go check it out at att.com/5G. But the rollout is going to continue from the 37 markets we've got it there today. And I know they're being very aggressive. I see a lot of equipment build outs and get a lot of updates through email throughout the day at work. So it's really exciting to see us going so fast, and you'll see a big marketing push behind it too, that shares a lot about the plans and the capabilities that we're all excited for.
Excellent. So Kim and Laura, one follow-up question for both of you. Given the COVID situation, given the Black Lives Matter that we are, that whole sentiment that we are all addressing now collectively, which I want to rephrase. I was on a conference call a couple of days back where it's being the minorities and Black Lives Matter and all of those areas are being referred as the undersampled majority, which needs to get addressed in everything that we are doing from an equity and an access perspective. So I'm going to refer that in my next question, but I wanted to bring that up. But question for both of you is, given that situation, COVID and Black Lives Matter and the glaring gap on access and equity, are there any pivots that Cox and your strategy for the 5G rollout and partnerships, and Laura for the AT&T rollout in 37 markets, are going to address differently because of these two phenomena that have changed our lives or are changing our lives?
You want me to go first, Sabina?
Yeah.
Certainly. Well, I can comment on the fact that Cox has definitely had the underserved element of our population as a super high priority. And back in 2013, we saw a need, along with other people in the industry, to provide capabilities to underserved kids. And so we have a program, our flagship program, along with some other things called Cox Connect to Compete. And basically it's a service that offers kids in school a very low cost internet service so that they can help be able to do online work just like their peers are. In addition to some other pieces of this service where they can get some training and other offers on that service, has been highly successful. But then when COVID started happening, we saw that we really needed to do a lot more. So basically, we offered those services free through mid-July. In addition to partnering with other organizations to help get discounted PCs, to provide free assistance so that if you had technical issues, you could call and get a technician to help you, and then calling in to call centers if there was other help needed. So those are things that we consider to be super important. It's kind of a passion to try to help, working with other people like Boys and Girls Club, Big Brothers and Big Sisters, and organizations like that to help promote and roll these programs out. And we will continue to do that. And I'm certain that as we roll out into 5G, we're going to look for opportunities to figure out, well, how does that apply to these programs that are going to help close the gap and provide broadband services and access to general internet services for everyone.
Thanks, Kim. Laura, before I ask you to answer that question, a quick comment here, especially given remote learning that's going to happen. Atlanta School just announced that they are going to be online for at least a couple of counties for the rest of the next semester. And hotspots for telemedicine and or COVID testing, the drive-by COVID testing. People are developing contact tracing apps. The COVID testing results have to go, and they have these tablets. So if you look at all that scenario, I feel like there is some focus that needs to go in those areas of giving hotspots free or all of that stuff. It's happening in some cases. I've heard college campuses giving it to their students through people, companies like yours, Kim and Laura. So I just wanted to make a comment on that. So Laura, I know that you're in 37 regions. You'll be live with the 5G. Tell us about the focus. If you guys have made any pivots, have offered, programs like Kim just alluded to from a Cox perspective.
Well, once we had entered COVID, we were working 24/7. I was amazed how our team really banded together to kind of assess the situation and figure out what do we need to do for our customers. And our early moves were to put out extra gigs of data for our customers that weren't on unlimited plans. We offered a $15 plan for people who were, may have been impacted by COVID. We went bigger on mobile hotspot, which that was, a feature that we sold, but it wasn't the most popular. And all of a sudden it became a top seller. The pucks that we had as devices for those became on the top seller list. And so we really focused on figuring out how do we keep those in stock to support the demand? How do we keep offers in the marketplace that customers can afford for students knowing the needs there, upping their gigs, especially it's such a critical time. And then also helping, putting support content out there on how to use maybe an old cell phone as a data device. So helping people understand how to use equipment they already had to support their needs in the home if they had students and other folks. So because a lot of us ended up all home together, and there's a lot of people in the household trying to vie for that bandwidth. So we tried to put a lot of content out there to help people understand how to leverage it the best way and to get the most out of the products that they had with us. So that was really exciting to see. It's tough to see so much of our market going through tough times, but we're really proud to be able to provide a little extra help during this difficult period. And I know we're all looking forward to some kind of cure resolution, but it's not anytime soon. So we actually have some new introductions coming out again next month for Cricket that are going to be, even better and more broader offerings that we've not had before to enable people to take advantage of all the bandwidth they need to get through it.
And Laura, do you see this continuing in the next several months as the 5G rollout gets accomplished in 37 regions you talked about? Continuing with this offering so that people can have faster, more bandwidth and accessibility and connectivity?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the Cricket offering isn't out yet. So AT&T is going first. The Cricket offering will be coming along in another month or so. And so we'll be seeing that hit the market. And that's where you'll see the value proposition on the 5G network, which we're really excited to offer.
Excellent. Great. So with that question, I'm going to shift the focus in the conversation a little bit. And Bronwyn and Anna, these questions are coming to you. Again, as in data science, as in AI, as in all the leading technologies, the big topic of conversation has been diversity and inclusion because of the equity and the gap in the representation of different kinds of undersampled majorities, whether they are women or BIPOC or Black Lives, African American, Black Lives Matter issues, etc. In 5G, why is it important, or is it important that this representation has to be there from the get-go internally in the organizations that are rolling out or offering services around 5G? Anna, do you want to go first?
Sure, Sabina. I'm going to take the angle of women and diversity, if that's okay. I'm a proud member, a board member of the Global Telecoms Women Network, and it's been a very big passion of mine for quite a few years. And let me give you an example to show how important it is that we have the right representation when we're doing anything at all. Not that long ago, there was this ovarian cancer medication where there was a medical study to understand what side effects that medication would have. The group that was used was all male. And it was all male because they didn't want the cyclical hormones that women have to have any impact on the results of the study. Now, we can all argue, if men are not going to use that medication, you should be testing it in the group that is actually going to be using the medication, right? And I think the medical community has come a long way over the last few years to understand that that has to be the case. And for technology, that's not different, right? When we look at facial recognition, when facial recognition started, it worked really well in a group of people and didn't work really well in another group of people. So if we don't get the people that are going to use it, the right representation when we're developing the technology, so that we understand our users and we provide the technology in a way that is, it provides that equity. If we don't do that, I think we are not doing the right thing. So from representation, when we look at the number of C-level women out there, we're still in 20%, right? We have many companies that are 50-50 in male and women. But when you look at the different levels, you have a lot of women on the bottom and not a lot of women on the top. And this has been an issue for quite a few years. There's been a lot of action to try to bring awareness, but unfortunately the results are still not there or are not coming, fast enough. When we look at 2018 compared to 2019, the percentage went down. So despite all the effort, and that's one of the things that for everyone that is watching and for everyone that is passionate about it, we cannot just talk about it. We need to do something to actually make an impact, and we need to take it seriously, because when it's technology and we're looking at artificial intelligence, for example, we want that research and the data and the people that are developing it to be representative of the consumers that are going to use it.
Bronwyn?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. And the fact that, the demography of America, of the world, of the United States is changing so dramatically. And we've been on this trajectory for a very long time. This didn't just start yesterday. And with movements like a Black Lives Matter, but also, the other protests and movements around the country, this is really, 5G and where we're going with this, with technology. This is no longer a group that is separated from, it is the group. And ensuring that everybody is at the table with this technology, because if not, we create a further digital divide that's going to create even more angst for people, because without access to technology, which is where everything is going, we're already experiencing that now, from payment to access to information, you have to be able to keep up. If not, populations fall further and further behind, and this will have a dramatic impact on companies, on our social structure, on our economy, that will be, we will reach a tailspin that we cannot get out of. So this is not about diversity and inclusion as a separate initiative around issues like 5G, AI. This is what it is. This is the population, this is the body, and it has to be addressed. And to Anna's point, this should be reflected throughout every company, from entry level all the way up to the C-suite. Because if you don't represent and have people within your company who look like the people that you serve, you're never going to meet their needs, because you don't understand it. And people understand when you don't understand them, and you will be left out. So this is an issue for public sector as well as the private sector.
Yeah, well said. I just believe that 5G, relatively new technology compared to data science or AI or even IoT, we have the opportunity to start on the right foot from the get-go, right? And of that broad view and representation inside of our companies and whatever we are doing, to have that equity right from the get-go. So thank you for that. So next question is for Kim and Laura, and this is a question from your vantage point, not around your organizations. So as senior women executives in the large companies that you work in, what is the role you as an individual, as a woman in a large technology company are playing to really rectify this or create that equity and diversity and inclusion, especially with your eyes on 5G rollout, in the coming months, and what it can do and how it can really provide that large scale equity and access that Bronwyn and Anna just talked about.
Well, I can start. And again, I want to say I do feel very fortunate that I work at Cox because it's a wonderful, wonderful company, and we do have so much support for diversity. I'll say a few years ago, I'm in the product and technology organization, which obviously is the highly technical kind of organization where you typically find less women. And so one of my peers and I, who is also a woman, saw it as an opportunity to put together a women's mentoring group. And what we did was we wanted to just kind of survey and figure out how people were feeling, what concerns they were having. And what we learned from the group was that really it was challenging for them because they have the demands of work and then the demands of family and children. And so perhaps they didn't have as much opportunity. They saw others going out, maybe men going out networking after work, but they had to go home and take care of children. So what we did was we took their feedback and we put together a program that basically, and it's running now, and it's been going on for several years, but basically it allows us, it's during the daytime, it was during the lunch hour, and we would invite key leaders in from across the organization to speak to them, have lunch, interact, and just provide them an opportunity to do networking and relationship building, not outside of the office, but actually inside the office, and make it very important. Also, we put a big emphasis on mentoring. So I have a number of different mentors, but my entire team, and actually our entire team throughout the whole organization, all have mentoring as a goal, so that you can mentor people that, and the goal is that the person needs to be different than you are. So they just need to look different than you are, right? Or have a different background than you do. And so, and we've had that for several years now, so that people are able to establish relationships and get different perspectives from those people, because I think Bronwyn mentioned it. We have a very diverse customer base. You don't want to get all your ideas from the same people. You want to work really hard to see and get lots of different perspectives and viewpoints. And myself, I've always taken the approach that I like to compliment myself with people who are different than myself, and get people who have different talents, because that's how you build a strong team. You have to understand that you're not gonna, whether it's somebody who looks different than you, whether it's somebody who's a different personality type. I'm an introvert, so I love to get extroverts because that complements me, right? That's a different type of thought process than somebody who wants to do different things than I do. So the diversity adds value so that you can serve everyone who's around you.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Kim. Anything externally that you're doing, how are you extending this outside the organization? Like recruitment is a big piece of this puzzle that you talk about, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, externally, it's being involved in a lot of different organizations, speaking externally. When you speak, when we're in this industry, we all have the technical skills. So I think when you're out in the world, you speak about the fact that you're a woman and that you're in the space and that you've been successful, and here's the things that you've done to be successful, and then you establish relationships with others outside your industry so that you can bring them along. So we've gone and done things like gone to different types of universities to attract different types of talent so that we can have I mean, I'm again, not only is it's an issue of finding the talent, right? So you're gonna have to work extra hard to get outside of your organization, make relationships and bring people in. Volunteering, serving on boards, serving nonprofits, that type of thing. And so through doing that, you increase visibility that women are out there, women can be successful, and that by default, you're increasing your diversity and relationships across the organization.
Thank you. Laura, any thoughts from you on that?
Yeah, absolutely, Kim. I agree with everything you said. I think mentoring is so important and helping people understand that you can have multiple mentoring relationships. A lot of people think they have to wait for a program to come along, and I say no. And then the first thing I say is go get coffee with someone you admire. And they were like, well, then do I ask them to be my mentor? I'm like, well, maybe. You've got to understand, you've got to meet with someone and understand, do you really like their philosophy? Do you like their style? Do you feel like they're open and you can learn from them? And if so, then yes, maybe. But I said, I noticed how many young people, and it's men and women, but especially women, I think, are more feel reluctant to ask, right? And so I think empowering people, and it starts with your team, right? I have a team of around 30, and making sure every one of them has where they want to go next in their career, that they have multiple mentors, more than just one, in different areas that they can explore things that they might want to be and learn next, and getting them to get out and do that. So actually, as part of my one-on-ones, I actually have a section every time that is about, okay, what have you done on your personal development, talking about mentoring. But I agree with Kim. I served on the board of Women in Cable for 10 years when I was at Cox and other companies. And there's an amazing mentorship program that's part of that. So bringing people into the fold with that has always been incredible. But I think just understanding that there's so much grassroots that can happen. So making sure any award or recognition your company has, that you think about the diversity of perspective, experience, backgrounds, everything when you nominate people for those programs, to really make sure that you're getting, a lot of different people exposed in that way. Something down to as small as getting your team to present in meetings in other areas where they wouldn't get exposure otherwise. I would much rather my team, who's smarter about the distinct areas that they cover, to go in and give an executive briefing and I'll just smile and nod and give them the thumbs up from the corner, because I want them to have that exposure. And that's something that I started doing more recently, that I've been thrilled to see the results in people's growth, but also their recognition throughout the company as leaders, as high performers, so that when it comes up for the next opportunity, promotion, program that they could, like a mentorship or a senior leadership program, they're right in the selection process, because everyone's already seen what they can do. So I think it's just making sure that you're empowering your team and you're giving them the visibility and making it as many visibility opportunities for the rest of the organization as much as possible.
Laura, I have a question, very specific question for you, Laura. Given the fact that cricket addresses a very specific market segment, right? And how do you reflect that in your team? The market that you're serving, construct you have. Talk to us about that, because that is critically important for the 5G conversation and the rollout and addressing some of the equity and access gaps that we've been talking about.
Yes, I am absolutely, I will say that the team that we have in our digital organization, and really throughout cricket, but I am shocked at how incredibly diverse the backgrounds of the people who work in this team are. And you think about, in digital, you have UX, UI, content, product development, you have analysts, you have all of these different backgrounds. But when you look at it demographically, I have never worked with a more diverse team. We have people who are gay, lesbian, transgender. We have people from Native American, African American, Asian American, multi-ethnic backgrounds. Almost everyone on the team has some really unique quality that I love. And the discussions that we have, this team is extremely empowered, and sometimes you have to corral them into the more productive conversations. But the diversity of experience and their willingness to fight for our consumers and who they are. Accessibility is another part. Think about people who have limitations in sight, in, you know, audio, oral capabilities. Those are customers that we want to have and keep. And so we're thinking of so many permutations of diversity in everything we do, that it's a wonder that we can move as fast as we do, because we're also committed to making sure we get things out quickly as fast as we can to customers. We're really proud of that, because we're a small, scrappy team that when you look at the big AT&T, we are rolling out stuff in 3 weeks. That's actually, I've been slack and buried this week because we just rolled out a brand new video chat service for customers who are shopping online. And a lot of that's in response to COVID. But it's when you have people coming online who traditionally haven't bought online, and a lot of them can be in lower incomes, they're shopping on their phone and they kind of get stuck. They don't have the confidence to complete the sale. And so we're now getting live agents to help walk them through step by step how to buy the phone, pros and cons, here's what you need, you know, make recommendations just like they're in a store. And we have seen people from a lot of different backgrounds take advantage of this. So I'm really proud of that.
Excellent, great. Thank you for that. And we're going to take a quick break, give a break to the panelists and do a poll question so the audience can be put to work for a moment. So here is our next poll question for the audience. Which of the following areas should the 5G focus on in the coming months and years? We'd like you to choose your top 3. Your time begins now. Wow, excellent. This is fabulous because you know, I think we would all agree. I don't think anybody's in disagreement. So I think the sentiment is out there. I wish I was not the president of the country, but some big influencer. I could make this happen tomorrow. So yeah, healthcare, education, communication is not surprising. Thank you all. So with that, I have quick questions, and we have little time, and I want to give the audience time for Q&A. So quickly, 30 seconds each. For each of the panelists, what specific opportunities can techies and or non-techies explore in 5G ecosystem to build their careers or companies? I'll start with Bronwyn. She's first on my screen. So Bronwyn, you have 30 seconds.
Go online, do your research. I always refer people to Google AI. They have a great learning program, whether you're a coder or you're not, you're a layman, just learn. Another great deal is get yourself a book like 5G for Dummies. I have so many dummy books, philosophy, you name it. But you know, 5G for Dummies is great, because there's a lot of technical detail, more than you probably want to know, but that's so critical to understand how things work.
Laura?
So I actually point back to the AT&T 5G, painting the vision for so much capability and what's possible. And I think of, you know, people's interest in healthcare, how much they've gone into, you know, remote healthcare with COVID. I think a lot of that, you could just think of the potential for providing remote care at the highest level when you do that. And so att.com/5G has a lot of these beautiful use cases to learn about. And it's not about the geeky stuff. I love that Anna can cite every bit of the capabilities in very precise terms technically, but it's also, I think, about just understanding so many things that aren't possible today and how we're enabling those with 5G. I think healthcare is a prime example, because you can provide unprecedented care, and it even goes to the potential for remote surgeries and things like that that people never thought were possible on that. So I think those are amazing places to look.
Great. Kim, would you go next?
Yeah, I would say, you know, as always, with everything, every type of technology, security is always going to be there. It's super important. If you have an interest, even if you don't have confidence, you can learn it. And there are hundreds of thousands of open security roles in the United States today. So if there's an interest, every technology needs it. I'd push to learn more about that and help complement a skill set that you might might not have and might be able to become invaluable to people in 5G in companies.
And of course, you have no bias there when you recommend that.
No bias. It's just been my, I mean, it's just been my personal experience, right? Yeah, I mean, it never ends. Look at Twitter yesterday, right? So
Yes.
every day something new.
Anna?
So security and privacy, right, are always the two things of technology that will always be there and will always be important. I'm going to go for another one because you're going to have so many devices connected, so many sensors that I think data analytics and business intelligence are going to be areas that are going to evolve very much. What we know today is, I think, a fraction of what's going to be possible in the future. So if you have those skills and if you follow the technology and what type of data you can get, and I think that that's a good area to focus on.
Excellent. So we started 5 minutes late. I would love to switch this on back to the audience and start our Q&A. So Addie, over to you. If there are any questions in the Q&A section, please go ahead.
Absolutely. We do have really great questions. So thanks to the audience for engaging. The first question is, are any of you aware of some of the conspiracy theories regarding 5G? And if so, can you dispel them for us?
I'm happy to take that if you want.
I think it'd be great.
Being part of GSMA, I actually had the privilege to follow that quite closely. There's been a lot of things going around that 5G is the cause for COVID, that it spreads the virus, that is bad for health. There's so many different things. The worst part of it is that some of these groups actually have destroyed, base stations around the world because they feel they're destroying something that it's harming the population, when in fact it's giving connectivity, right? Today, as we all discussed, without connectivity, I think our life would be impossible. So, from all the research that I've seen, and if you go to GSMA's website, you can find a lot about it in terms of health impacts. 5G is not anything more in terms of emissions or radiation than 4G was. So there's nothing for us to believe that it is anything worse than what 4G was. So, and definitely does not transmit COVID.
Glad you cleared that up.
That's great. We have another question, and so one company, in your opinion, one company besides yours that is doing a great work in the area.
I think that's for Bronwyn, Laura, Kim, maybe.
Yeah, in the area of 5G, I applaud what everyone has been saying, on the phone. I think companies like T-Mobile, Sprint, AT&T, all the big telecom companies have to be in this space. But I think there are a lot of companies that are working on 5G solutions, and I'll speak of the startup community, that are not known yet. Figuring out everything from drone delivery to sensor safety and cybersecurity is growing significantly. So I think some of the companies that are doing some amazing work are small and unknown, but they will be known very, very soon. Just because of the pace and speed at which we're moving and how everything's colliding at the same time is going to be critical. So I'll speak for the unknown startups right now.
Anybody else? Kim and Laura, do you know anybody?
I think our carriers, of course, in the US, I applaud them for going fast forward to 5G so quickly as well. But I'm going to go with an Atlanta-based female-led startup called Motivo, which is in mental health professionals to be able to do their supervision hours by video conference, right? So that they can progress in their careers faster. So.
Excellent. Addy, are there any other questions? We're almost on the top of the hour.
We do. So how about we have them copied. What we can do is, to respect everybody's time, we can send this out to our panelists and have a follow-up via email. How about that?
That'd be excellent. I think
Okay.
the panel will be open to that.
Mhm.
Great. Thank you with that. Thank you, everyone, panelists and the audience. I'll give this mantle to Liz now to close the event.
Thank you, everyone. Excellent program. Great participation from the audience. I love the polls as well. I know I learned a lot. I hope you did too. Please give a virtual hand to our panel and moderator. We appreciate them sharing their ideas and their knowledge and their tips about the 5G world and the opportunities, as well as thank you to Addie Vicente, my vice chair, who behind the scenes has put this all together technically for us tonight. Remember to reach out to each of these panelists on LinkedIn, let them know you watched the program, and send additional questions to them if you like. Also reach out to ZeoAir at xeoair.com and support our Innovator of the Month. Good night, everyone. Thank you for coming. It's been great. I wish I could see you in person, but until then, see you next month.